How's everyone's future-proof Adelaide going for you? Is it going good? Oh, a little bit more. Go. There we go. All right, very good. Sounds like you're having a good time. I hope you've been enjoying the wonderful drinks from the wonderful suppliers outside. Thanks to Paramount Liquor for having us all here. It's good to do on a Tuesday night. It's Tuesday night, right? Yeah, okay, good. My name's Sam Bygrave. I'm the editor and founder of Boothby. It's boothby.com.au. I write about bars, bartenders, and drinks there. It's a real pleasure to be back in Adelaide to do these talks tonight. I lived here for a couple of years as a kid. That is my Adelaide credentials. Don't hold it against me. It was in like 93. Things have changed since then. There is no more no roller coaster in that thing across in Rundle Mall anymore, right? That was the thing? I didn't imagine that. You know, it got shut down? Is that a touchy subject? Okay. All right. Well, anyway, thankfully we do have some people who are much more knowledgeable about Adelaide than me on the panel tonight. We're going to be talking about future-proofing Adelaide. What can we do to make, Adelaide grow in terms of the scene? Advice for people who want to open bars. It's going to be a nice little chat. Let me introduce the panel now. First up, all the way over here, I'm going to call him OJ. He goes by many names: Ollie, Oliver, OJ, sometimes Frank as well. Oliver Brown from the Big Easy Group. They've got some venues around town. Give him a round of applause, please. Give him another round of applause. Come on, it's the last talk of the night. Let's go. There we go. In the middle, we have Meira Harel, who is the drinks curator at Tasting Australia, a big organisation down here. Sorry. Give her a big round of applause, please. And this guy's got a couple of bars. Crybaby, it's a little dive bar. It's been around for a little while, I think. Memphis Slims, yada yada. We're going there. Are we going to Memphis Slims later? Yeah, and Shotgun. And Shotgun Willies, yeah. Wonderful. Okay. Give Jon Di Pinto a round of applause, please. Great to have you guys here. We're going to have a nice little chat. Hopefully we've got some exciting opinions. You've got a full house here too, so no pressure on you at all. I've been told not to make you feel nervous because you don't get nervous? Okay, good. That laugh suggests otherwise. All right, hospitality is like a boom and bust kind of business. It has always been that way. John, if I could start with you, where are we at right now in Adelaide in terms of that boom and bust cycle?
I think we're leaning into a bust. I think naturally with COVID, everyone was caged lions. No one could go out for so long. And then recently that finished. Everyone's now gone out. Everyone's sort of probably gone too hard at it. And now we're sort of starting to see it level out. We're definitely sort of on a downward cycle. However, there's just had a big gather round event and things like that, Easter, and, it is possible for it to still sort of level out, but definitely on the decline compared to the last few years.
I just love your turn of phrase. OJ, what do you think? Where do you see things across your venues?
Yeah, definitely a down cycle. I mean, capitalist economies boom and bust based off monetary policies and interest rates crazy. So, of course, we're in a bust, and it's not just hospitality, it's the entire economy, and I guess that's the entire purpose of the interest rates too. So.
Yeah, well, I heard today that, I think it was today on the news, that the vacancy rate for rentals in Adelaide is like the hardest across the country again. It's like less than 1% at the moment. Is it, what's the mood out there like that right now? Meira? Yeah, sorry. Meira, sorry.
Yeah, look, I think it's a combination of many things. It's not just the economy, where there's a few factors that add to the whole equation of the struggle at the moment. But I think people are then forced to tighten what they do, and I see that as a positive. And I think it means that the venues that are sticking around are working really hard to focus and to concentrate and polish what they do, and then the factor, what that means is that you see better venues around that are staying.
Right. So like is it across the board kind of downtimes, or are there pockets that are kind of busy at the moment? Is it throughout the week that things are going down, or is it up and down?
It'd be interesting hearing everyone else's perspective. Most people I've spoken to are like, 15 to 30% down on last
Quite
year.
a lot. Yeah.
But then every venue's different, obviously. But like the mood in the industry, I've heard, is sort of like 15 to 30% down, and depending on the location of your venue, we've got a pretty good like subsect of suburban and CBD, and the CBD is like heavier weekends than it ever has been, and weeknights are slower, whereas suburban's probably a little bit more flat throughout the week.
So what, suburban sort of held steady, would you say? Or
It's still down for
Still down.
sure. It's still down, but it's more steady spread over the weeknights. But I'd love to hear the other thoughts.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's a bit more difficult for us. We talking about shotguns in Memphis, we sort of opened and it's a bit hard to sort of gauge. We opened and we had a smaller license, so this is our first full year of a larger license. So for us, we're actually sort of trending upwards in that venue. However, looking at something like Crybaby, this has been the slowest start to the year that we've had in probably, 4 or 5 sort of years of trading. So it's definitely on the downward. Midweek is definitely where it gets hit the most. Our weekends are always sort of, we know what we're going to get once we enter into a weekend. However, the midweek's definitely we're starting to feel it. Those Monday, Tuesdays definitely. And
Is there just like the cost of living things that are driving this, do you think? Or is there something else? Is it like a lot of venues have opened in Adelaide over the last 10 years, particularly in the CBD. Have we reached a point now where maybe there's a bit of thinning out happening because too many venues have opened? Meira, what do you think about that?
Yeah, look, perhaps. I think it was mentioned in last panel or the one before. I think there's perhaps an element of saturation or repetition, I would say, of concept. And I think, it'd be good to see people really perfecting what they do and really identifying that X factor to then avoid that saturation, because at the moment, we see things like a lot of bistros or a lot of people like embracing simplicity, which is great because thanks to economy and people spending a little bit less, you kind of evolve into simplicity and not reinventing the wheel. But I think even when you do go to that space, then you still need to find that X factor.
There seems to be like a lot of burrata on menus, that kind of thing.
Exactly. So I think, maybe the same in cocktails, maybe the same in wine lists, maybe but I think there's a difference between oversaturation and then more of the same. And how can we really work on making sure that doesn't become the same thing?
How easy is it to open a new venue in Adelaide at the moment? Is it something that's a simple process? Are the problems, if there are any problems, are they coming from like government, or is it just getting the patronage in the venue? What are the sort of issues that you might face?
I mean, in terms of government and like getting a license, I think it's as easy as ever been. The small bar license, obviously, that came in a while back has helped that. That's literally.
Does it cost much money? I don't
that
know.
license, nothing. It's it's very very minimal, like under $500. I'm pretty sure. However, once you move into the bigger licenses, they do start to increase. Is it hard to open a venue? Yes, at the moment.
It's always hard to open a venue.
Yeah,
but
and I guess
what's the climate like for opening a venue right now?
I think, last year we did a couple. Me and Ollie did one together, and we sort of took venues that were already shells and had, bars and everything in there. So, it was a little bit easier. We weren't sort of building from nothing.
We also failed opening one of them.
Yeah, one didn't quite work out. I mean, that was actually like a bad response from the community. So,
It was their fault?
it was definitely they didn't want to.
Spoken like a true bar owner. I love that.
Nothing to do with us. But yeah, no, it's definitely difficult. There's massive challenges in it, and things. When I opened up Crybaby, I would say that's going 5-6 years ago now. I'd say it almost would cost double as much just in labour to get a venue open. So that definitely
Like in the building labour and that sort of stuff.
Yeah, that's like so much more expensive than it used to be. And that just trickles all the way through. Everything's gotten more expensive. So, naturally it's harder. The risk is bigger. And all those little bits and pieces you don't think about end up adding up. However, in saying that, it's not impossible, and I would definitely recommend doing it. if you've got a good idea and you think it's going to be something that's a dream or something that you want to see come alive, definitely do it. But just try and think about all the little things that pop up.
The way you say definitely do it, there's a tinge there that's like, if you want to be a
I don't want to
freaking idiot.
sound so doom and gloom and be like, definitely don't do it. It's the worst thing you'll ever do. But
We appreciate the positivity. Meira, what do you think the climate's like for opening a bar? Is that something that you would be considering at the moment?
Yeah, look, I come more from the restaurant side of things and wine, and I think right now it really depends on a number of things. I mean, it really depends on where you're going to do it.
Yeah.
I know there's been a conversation about, is the city the place to do it, the suburbs, where's the population moving, neighbourhood restaurants, and all that. And I think really only do it if what you have to offer is filling a gap that doesn't exist, and filling something that is truly, I know we're trying not to use the word sustainable, someone said before, but...
We've redefined it, apparently.
Yeah, redefining sustainable, minimal intervention, not just in wine, but look, I think it really needs to be well thought about, not just beyond the financial element. We all know that staff is hard to find and talent, so really factor all those things, make sure you really know that you have something to offer to the community around you so they don't fail you, but also...
Those pesky consumers,
yeah,
if only they would understand.
But also something that will have longevity, because I find that a lot of the things that are opening, and I think it was mentioned before, but within a year, if it doesn't work out, then you kind of give up, or within a year, it has max what it can offer. So the what you offer, what you give back to your community needs to have longevity and needs to really be sustainable for the long run, and know that it will take time. It's not going to be successful from get-go. I mean, everyone have a busy full month. The first month will be busy, will be great, but have that ability to take a deep breath and go for the long run.
What do you think, OJ?
Yeah, I think your last couple of questions work together pretty well. You said, is the market saturated? I think it's a free market, so I think you need
This is the craft of what I'm trying to do, so yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, no worries.
I never get a pat on the back.
I appreciated it. So it's a free market, and I think quality dictates what will and won't last, and I think the idea of passion and concept is massive to making it achieve, because intentionally the market will decide who stays around. But then just back to John's question before on the cost of building a venue and stuff. I remember when we started Anchovy Bandit, we had a budget of $1,500 a square metre for a fit out, and our latest venue was $4,500. So that's in kind of 5 years. So if you're talking 100 square metre site, it's kind of, I would say, $450,000 sort of minimum to get it up of a decent quality.
Right, what kind of capacity would that be?
Maybe in a restaurant you might get 60 to 70. Probably 70 would be pushing it. Yeah. And then, I don't know, it depends. Ask John about his bars, maybe 150.
100 square metre, yeah.
What do you reckon the ballpark would be for if you're trying to get in as a bartender who's graduating into bar ownership, they have to do it, they've got this vision they believe in. What do you reckon is the minimal viable kind of outlay they might have to ballpark spend?
Well, look, if we're looking at the small bar, 120 people, I think you would struggle to get change out of $500,000 just to get it open and factor in everything. There's so many things you don't think about. You sign a lease, you got to put in a guarantee. That's, sometimes 30, 40, 50 grand. It just sits there for 15 years and you don't get it back until you finish up your lease, and just all those other little things that just never get thought about. I think for a small venue, 100 metres squared, 150 metres squared for 120 people, yeah, 500,000, potentially more.
And have all, in terms of rent for little spaces and stuff, Crybaby's down a lane that shouldn't have anything on it, really, but is now, I think because you put a bar there, there's still these kind of, same with Haynes & Co. down there, are there still these sorts of spaces in the CBD where you can sort of activate in a laneway like that?
I think there's definitely spaces around, but I think all the people that are renting these spaces out have clocked that they're actually worth a lot more than they used to be 5-10 years ago.
Oh, it's a bar now. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, you know, they can just chuck a price on anything and sell it at a small bar, you know.
Okay, well, that's depressing. Meira, is there anything, I mean, Tasting Australia's, a bit of a government initiative. Do you think there's a role that government can play in trying to, smooth out some of this boom and bust for bar owners and the restaurant owners, bar owners, hospitality industry in general in Adelaide? Are they trying to do it?
Yeah, look, I don't represent the government.
Oh, obviously not, yeah. I'm asking you as a private person with their own private individual opinions.
Bone to pick with you, all right?
Yeah. I'm a contractor.
You'll be collecting taxes later.
Look, I think there's definitely. I have been the last couple of years been working closely with the Tourism Commission, and there's definitely a huge incentive, and we've all seen it now with the second year of Gather Round, and we all know that the first 6 months of the year are extremely busy thanks to a lot of activations done by the government via festivals and a lot of cultural events that bring people into the state. And I think that's definitely something that is pushed. And beyond just that, the fact that those events are pushed, the hospitality aspect of it is pushed. And really to celebrate the producers, the people, the places that make South Australia what it is. So I think there's definitely opportunity for there, and there's definitely opportunity to really think outside of the box and collaborate. And I think that's something that it hasn't really cracked just yet. And how can those two elements, the hospitality community and industry, collaborate within those events together with the Tourism Commission? Because they're just looking for ideas, right? They're just looking for how to reinvent themselves, and being part of this festival, I really learned a lot about how every year everything needs to look different for those events. Even though the venues could be the same venues, the producers obviously are gaining more and more traction. So just bring it on.
Are they doing a better job of spreading it around the city? Because every time I've come to Adelaide ever over the last 10 years, it's usually after March, and there's usually someone I've talked to, I'm like, oh, how is Fringe for you? And it depends on where they are in the city. They either love it or they hate it, right? This guy loves it at the moment. Are they doing a better job of spreading these things around, and can they do better?
I mean, I think it's hard. Like, the main bulk of the Fringe is always going to be down the East End. It's just, where the Garden is and where Gluttony is. So, in terms of that, down the West End, where the majority of my venues are, we always just see a lull. We sort of just pack it up. We don't try and really do anything too exciting. We just sort of wait for that to be over because, the main focus is down the East End. So it's pretty grim. Just sit there and wait and take what you can get while it's there.
So do you have advice for these people how to run a venue? Just shut up the doors. Winter will finish at some point. I love it.
I mean, without sounding grim, that's essentially what it is. So what I would say is open 2 venues and do one down each end of town, so you can capitalise on both at the same time.
That makes sense to me. What's the local media landscape like in Adelaide? And for food and beverage in particular, it's a sort of one newspaper town, but do you have support from that media community here, or in terms of your venues, and how do you get the word out?
I always think like you got the little publications, you got City Mag, you got Broadsheet, you got Glam. They're always, for me personally, my personal experience is like, they're always super receptive. If we're doing an event or we're doing a new bar or whatever it is, they're sort of chomping at the bit, ready to get an article and get some information about it. The advertiser is super helpful as well on sort of larger scale things.
I don't think anyone is here from them, so you can say whatever you want as well.
Okay. They always put the worst photos in the papers as well. Just, that really annoys me, but I don't know what. Yeah.
What does the rest of the panel think?
I was going to say it's a massive media bubble in Adelaide. There's the 3 people that are right about you that'll do a great job, and that's awesome. But as far as actually penetrating to the rest of the country or the rest of the world, we definitely get left behind. I think, like Good Food Guide hardly even pops through here.
Oh, you're looking at very intently. Yeah. Okay.
Boothby spent 2 years here in its youth, which was appreciated.
Junior Boothby.
Yeah, Junior Boothby. But yeah, I think some of those larger, like, especially in the food and restaurant space, I mean, I think the Bar Awards and Boothby do cover that small venue world a lot better, but in, like, the hatted, prestigious restaurant world, we're definitely left behind. There's always 3 or 4 restaurants that get repeated, but there's such amazing stuff happening all over the state that definitely gets left behind. But you get money for clicks, so if people aren't clicking from here, you're not going to get the stories from here.
I love Mr. Capitalism over here. It's all about money for clicks. He's not wrong. What advice would you have for everyone out here who is trying to get the word out of their new venue, whether it's a restaurant or a bar? How can they work better with media, or do they need the media that much anymore, or can they find their own ways to get in people's faces? Meira?
Yeah, well, just back on just the previous question, I just wanted to say that I think the media, although it is a bubble, and I completely agree, and I think they actually need to work harder for the community. And I think in order for us to break through to Gourmet Traveller and to those national publications, we need to pressure the media to work for the South Australian community and to also challenge it, because as you say, they're all very grateful and thankful and very good at supporting us, which is fantastic. But I think it'd be great to have a little bit more tension and a little bit more challenge thrown back at operators by the media to then lift the level of what we do, but also then reflect it into their national publication, because they all do write a national publication as well, and I think we should expect them to do more.
Yeah, there's like 7 writers working around all those different
Correct.
publications. Yeah.
So, but I think what we can do is actually create some sort of a voice, a community voice that is addressing the media as a unit. And I'm not trying to create a revolution here, but perhaps the local community can join together and create some sort of an address to the media and a way to collaborate. And I think collaboration is something that is not happening enough. And working as a network that knows the city better than anyone else, better than the media really, because they just come and visit us, but they don't really know the ins and outs. And I think if embracing more opportunities like this, like getting everyone together around the table and bringing everyone into the conversation, pulling everyone's ideas together to then go back to the media and say, all right, here, this is what we have to offer, this is what we can do, and this is how we can lift the game and present South Australia and Adelaide in a better way to the world.
I love that. That's a very nice idea. Is it a collaborative scene here in hospitality? Anyone can answer that one.
Yeah, it definitely is. I think it's such a tight community. Everyone kind of knows each other, and no one's too far away to ask a question for. You asked before about what piece of advice you'd give for starting up a venue, and it'd definitely be ask. Like, I think if you were to slide into Jon's DMs, he's going to reply. But I
what
think
about
people
opening
get
a venue?
People get so fearful of rejection, but the risk of asking someone is that they'll say no and you're in the same spot. So I think definitely ask and get as much knowledge as you can from the people around, because the community is so strong and people will help you, especially in this kind of community, the smaller venues. And
What do you think about that, Jon?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, like me and OG embarked on doing a restaurant together.
How did that come together? Because you're theoretically competitors, but then you start working together.
I mean, we just thought, how did that even happen?
Actually, I was really thinking. I was like, I don't know how that happened.
Probably like a couple of beers somewhere, and then next minute
That's how everything starts.
Yeah, that's it. But throughout that process, we were bouncing ideas off each other. We were talking about comparing different ways in which we do things and what works, what doesn't work. So like I agree totally with what he said. Ask questions, and there's plenty of people out in the industry that would be more than willing to help and give you some good advice.
Great. Well, I've got some questions from the audience here. Again, all anonymous. You can put your name to them if you want. They're not that salacious. I can't tell if Marcus Mothram... No, he's here. Good. He's got his sunglasses on. Just checking in. First question I ask you from the audience is, what is next for Adelaide? Are there any predictions on future trends that can be across hospitality? But Meira, would you like to start first?
It's funny. I just had a conversation about trends the other day, and I think that term is problematic because the essence of trend is for it to fade, right? So do we look to find a trend and go for it, knowing that it's not going to last for a very long time, or do we just embrace a concept? You can maybe, colour it a little bit with a few trends here and there, but embrace a concept that is really, really you, that is really, really personal, that has something to offer, that is really not necessarily unique, but is just high quality. And high quality doesn't necessarily have to be expensive or and reinventing the wheel, but just really, really great products. So I think in terms of trends, it's just being better. Really being...
I get told that all the time. Just be better.
But really think out of the box, not just for the sake of being different, but think out of the box. Think out of the box of, again, as I said, like even if you're just doing a base story, doing something simple, right? What is that one thing that makes you different? Is it your people? Is it where you're placed? Is it this certain wine list or drink list or that you have to offer that offers personality? Because personality is what's going to make your venue different. And I think, some people know that and think they do it, but don't really then consistently look after that aspect of personality.
It's 24/7, right? You can't just, do it some of the times.
Correct. Yeah, and I think the personality needs to then reflect through the entire team, because a lot of venues are built on a person, and that person, if that person's not there, then perhaps the experience is not the same. So how can we make sure that no matter who's in the venue, that personality is strong, it's present, it's honest, and I think honesty then kind of really makes people appreciate what you do in an honest way, and then hooks them back in to come again and again and again, and not just visit you one time, because they want to feel that they're special. They want to feel that they're got that extra love.
I think people respond to conviction as well, right? OJ, what do you think? Is it, you can say what a future trend might be, or it could be something you'd like to see happen.
I would like to see everyone put their prices up for one. But in all seriousness, SA's lagged well behind the rest of the country in lifting its prices, and I think you can see it in the model having a lot of strain on the hospitality model at the moment. Things like when we started NOLA, I think cash was 60% of our revenue, and now it's like 10%. So everyone's paying, 1.3% surcharge on 90% of their revenue now. It's like people need to clue onto this stuff, because if the market stays lagging behind, it's going to make everyone unsustainable.
Wages have gone up and rent's gone up as well. Everything's going up.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that'd be a good trend to see this year, is people actually dive into their numbers and make the model stack up again.
Why do you think, I know it's scary for operators to put their prices up, but why, other people do it, other industries do it. Why is it such a hospitality thing that's coffee's got to be really ridiculously cheap and that sort of
Adelaide thing?
Yeah, it definitely is. People assume people are going to shop around, but I think if you do have a strong concept, people will stay loyal, even if you charge what it should be charged for your product. But I also think, especially in small venues, as people get locked in and forget to review the numbers, they might not know it's as bad as it potentially could be. And I think to take that step back and actually have a look, and then have the conviction, good word, have the conviction to be like, people will enjoy my product. If you're a commodity product, I think, or a trend to that point, you will fade, or you'll be battling prices to the bottom. But if you're over a quality or a concept or a high concept, then I think you should be looking to charge what it's worth.
Well, you want to have something people can't get everywhere else, right? Because then you can charge what you want to charge. Then you're not a commodity market.
Cost.
Yeah. You're either look into the crystal ball or just manifest something that you want to see.
Well, look, I was just going to comment on what we were just speaking about. I mean, well, the two main venues that I have being the ones that sort of, do the best, being Shotguns and Crybaby. We work off a different sort of model where we're sort of not really focusing on products because we're just selling, very basic, everyday, whatever everyone else can offer. However, we sell more of like an experience and like a good time. Almost.
Memorable.
Yeah. So we, we sort of wait to see what everyone else does. If the bar across the road chucking their price up, we'll then go and chuck our price up. But we don't feel like we're not we're not offering things that we feel like we can you know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, you're trying to tell me that you're an Excel wizard, okay? The spreadsheet master. No, I love it. I know, but I think that point about experience and selling that experience and that memorability kind of thing is important because otherwise, if you've just got a whole bunch of bars competing on price, and you're not going to win. The big chains, the big hotel groups will win that one.
Yeah, always.
Okay.
But like Ollie said, that costs money because for an experience, a memorable experience and a unique one that makes people come up again and again, it's not just the product, but it's the people. And people, it takes time to train, and training involve investment. And we all want to see more training and more investment. And that all comes back together to then, as you say, the experience, regardless to what you're selling, it's the people behind the bar. So I think just understanding the puzzle and then being able to translate that to the consumer and to our guests and to make sure that they value that then in the dollar figure, that all is part of the key element of what we do.
Okay, I'm gonna wrap up with one last question to all of you, each of you. We're going to try and wrap up on a positive note, I think. But what, like you guys are all building your careers here in Adelaide. What is it from each of you? What is it about this city, about the people in the city that gets you up every morning, going to work, coming up with new venues or working across, operations? Why do you love doing what you do here in Adelaide? I'm going to save you to your last, John.
Oh, that's such a good answer.
Smart, yeah.
OJ?
He's just going to refer it to the crowd, I heard. That's what Josh said. But yeah, for me, I love Adelaide and SA and everything about it. And for us, we were very product-driven from the get-go. And that kind of proximity to amazing region and products is pretty key for me. And it's not... many people that you're like, what'd you do for your 18th? They're like, I went on a wine tour for a nice Pinot, I think we're just surrounded.
Very different experience where I'm from, yeah.
We're just surrounded by this hospitality culture. You look at any wine region around the world and their food scene is equally as elevated as the wine. And I think that it becomes a culture and it becomes a living and a breathing identity. And for me, I love that. That's why I stayed here, was for wine originally, and then went into small venues. So
South Australians are so parochial about the stuff that comes from here. And I love that. It's a selling point, right? Meira?
Yeah, I'm going to have to agree with what Ollie said. And I think, coming from Melbourne, lived many years in Melbourne and being here and knowing that on the weekend...
Melbourne, no one likes Melbourne. You're better off here.
Don't get me started. But I think, being able to, within 45 minutes in any direction, you're in a region, you're surrounded by a community, and there's constant innovation going in those regions. And at the moment, the diversity across those regions is very exciting. And I think, for us, then in the city to translate it into what we do could be really, really extraordinary versus in the big cities. So yes, we're smaller and perhaps still have a long way to go with some things that we do, but I think we're way ahead of the curve when it comes to that proximity to access to product. Maybe wine, maybe cheese, maybe anything that goes through our restaurants, and I think that connection then becomes a greater part of what we do.
I love that. John, take us home. Tell us why you get up every morning, you come and serve the great burgers of Adelaide.
Well, look, I think you know, when I first looked at doing a bar, I looked at Adelaide, and you looked at what we had to offer, which there was some great, amazing things, but, you know, when you always looked to Sydney and Melbourne, there was all these amazing bars, and Adelaide just seemed like this, like, untapped gold mine of, you know, a place where you could come up with original ideas and no one had done them before or, like, done anything similar. Is that working? I can't tell. Is it working? Feel like it's not working. Yeah, sure. It's like this untapped gold mine, and you had, you know, a clean slate to come up with your own ideas and put your own spin on it. And it led to some really cool and some of my favourite places to come. And, you know, like I said, you'd go to Sydney and Melbourne, there'd be like 10 versions of some of the bars that we have here. We got one, and it's great, and people love it.
Yeah, but they tend to be really good when they're done here. That's the difference.
Yeah, because it's like there's one of them, you know, instead of like that's the one place.
You just got to do the fucking math.
Like if you want to smoke a cigar and drink whiskey, go to Haynes.
Absolutely.
You know? Like, you know?
The only place in the world you can do that sitting at the bar, I reckon, these days. Okay, are you finished?
That's me done.
I mean, I got more time for you if you want. No, okay, good. Hey,
No,
guys.
I won't stop talking.
Give them all a round of applause. Thank you very much.